Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. I am Thomas Sim, PEA 2066. This afternoon, I would like to do a presentation on withholding tax. This is with regards to the new requirement by Income Tax Act, Section 107D, a new section onto withholding an amount of 2% for the payment of commissions or professional fee or any fee that is paid to an agent. This starts by clicking on the 1st of January 2022. However, there are quite a few changes later. I will share with you in the presentation slides. Let me begin. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Thomas Sim, PA 2066. Today is 12th of July 2022. Section 107D, withholding tax. This section 107D refers to Income Tax Act 1967. So you can see on the corner, on the right corner picture, withholding tax mainly affects the payment. That means when invoice is given to the payer and the payer pays money to the receiver, but then that means the sum of money need to be retained by the payer to be remitted to the tax authority. So the end receiving side of payee or in the case of a receiver would receive less the total amount which is supposed to be paid. So it means to say that the payer who received the invoice to make payment retain a sum of money to be paid direct to the tax authority. Later I would explain a bit more on what this type of mechanism is for in the implementation or the administration of tax. So this withholding tax on payment to resident individual must be remitted by end of the following months. This one came about around July 9. This the age published on the July 9, 2022. So there were some changes, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, that although it was supposed to start on 1st of January 2022, the implementation of this withholding tax got a bit delayed because some of the hiccups. So these are related to payment where it is made to retain the money and make payment to the income tax authority. Anyway, withholding tax or in the case of tax withholding actually is about when payment is made to a receiver, when you pay to a so-called contractor who work for you a fee, you retain some money so it's called tax withheld. This tax withheld will be paid to inland revenue of the country In this case, many countries have this withholding tax. So in the old days, this withholding tax meant for the non-resident or foreigner, in the sense when they come to work in a country, and this can be seen as a consultant or maybe a specialist in certain field, whereby the local company employ this person or engage this person for a specialist job, and then the money that the company pays for this consultant, a part of it is retained or withhold to be paid to the government as a tax. So this means tax withholding, money your employer takes out on each paycheck for taxes. So this is the meaning of the withholding part of the tax. But then today our talk is on even not a foreigner, in fact a local person who works for an agency or works for a vendor or works for a company, and then not employed in this case not employed but as a contractor. So contract for service. So the contractor contract for service get paid a commission or a professional fee, and the company that pay up this amount of fee need to retain for a withholding tax purpose. So let us go in for more detail. So anyway, how does this Finance Bill 2021, which was passed in the Parliament and to be gazetted and implemented the following year, 2022, which is this year. So now it's July, so this was supposed to be enforced in 1st January, as I said, but then it was delayed until April lah. So it was initially they wanted to start it 1st of January, but due to all the reasons, then they delayed it until April, and today is July already. So on the July 9, they came out and said that it need to be paid the following month to be remitted to the IRB so the Inland Revenue Board. So how it happens, just a summary here. It affects the agent or affects any contractor who receive money from the payer. So what here says is that it's a 2% withholding and applicable to those who had paid 100,000 annual previous year assessment. So if you are a negotiator, you have done well last year of 100,000 and above commission share out from the company, this year the agency company need to pay you in the case of pay you commission share out from the work that you have done. The company need to withhold 2%, 2%, and this 2% gradually collects over the whole year until it comes to next year. So when you are doing your e-filing next year, then you have tax that is already been paid for you by your agency to the Inland Revenue. And therefore, you look at, by next year, you will look at your total taxable amount and see the difference from the already paid tax. You may have personal relief here and there. You have a lot of other reliefs that you can claim. At the end, it may be top up or reduced. They will be paid back to you. In case that the agency did not do this auto method, withholding and then pay up the dues, then there will be a 10% penalty for no payment. So the three parts, the parts that the 100,000, 2%, and the 10%. This part, the tax deduction is not applicable for withholding tax under the proposed Section 107D ITM 1967. So there is a part that the tax deduction is not applicable for. So later we would see what is this part, tax deduction not applicable for withholding tax. Anyway, the website of the Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri, as I have extracted it under the withholding tax section, withholding tax. In fact, withholding tax is an amount withheld by a party making payment payer on income earned by a non-resident payee and paid to the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia. So in a lot of cases, I was mentioning about a foreigner, a consultant who comes to Malaysia to work, and he is not a resident and in a tax category, not a tax resident for Malaysia. And after having worked for a period of time, he is paid certain amount. The company that pays him is the payer. This payer need to retain. So payer refers to an individual or body other than the individual carrying on the business in Malaysia required to withhold tax on payment of services rendered. So this consultant has rendered his service. So it means to say the payer, the company that engaged him, needs to pay him the so-called agreed payment and the amount which need to be withheld for payment to the IRB, the Inland Revenue Board. So that this person is just not paid a sum of money and make a living out of this work in Malaysia. So the tax purpose here is when a person arrives in Malaysia and works on a Malaysian region, a land area which is within Malaysia, and make an income and make an earning, this earning is subject to income tax. So in this case, the withholding tax section is able to ensure the money is paid to government for. Anyway, the part that this happens is because the person goes back to his own country and if he did not pay his tax, then the Malaysian tax authority cannot go and follow him to his own country, which is not the jurisdiction of Malaysian government. So therefore, the withholding tax purpose is to ensure that in the amount that he is in fact required to pay because he make a living out of the Malaysian work, then this part, the company that pays him is of a duty to ensure such payment is made. So this mechanism is used in a few parts that we know of. One is, as we all know, the real property gains tax. When the paying person, that means the purchaser, who pays the consideration, who pays the sale price, his lawyer who, under the Real Property Gain Tax Act need to retain 3%. This amount retain 3% before this money is paid to the seller. So the money is in the hand of the purchasing lawyer. The purchasing lawyer side need to retain the money. So this mechanism is quite similar with the withholding tax system, where it take away the money that is in the source. That means you ensure that money is retained at the source before it is paid to the recipient. So this part of the mechanism is also seen in RPGT. And similarly in potongan cukai bulanan, so when you look at your monthly deduction of the tax, the employer who pays a salary to the employee need to ensure that the money tax is actually deducted from the salary of the employee. So the salary of the employee deducted with tax only payable to the employee. So the government ensure that this collection is at the source, payer. So the same mechanism is in withholding tax, and in the same scenario, if you imagine you are engaged by a agency firm to do real estate work, then the agency firms need to retain the amount to ensure that the tax is paid to the government. So the same mechanism applies in this context, but on a local Malaysian resident, tax resident. So in the case of non-resident, non-tax resident, for other types of withholding tax, the rates you can see here, in fact, ranging from 10% to 15, 24, 25% also. So these are the amount of tax that is supposed to be retained by the paying company to be remitted to the tax authority. But for today's talk, for today's chapter on section 107D, this tax rate is actually 2%, at 2% only. So this is of course just to reflect the amount of quantum. So the new section 107D came about in the Finance Bill 2021. As you can see, I circled 20 and 21. Both this 107D and 109DA were a new section. So this only for us is new section 107D. And this 107D says what? Says deduction of tax from payment made to agent. Here means agent, a dealer, or a distributor. So that's why there is called the ADD, ADD, agent, dealer, or distributor. So money is paid to an agent, or a dealer, or a distributor from sales of transaction or scheme carried out by the agent or dealer or the distributor. And this amount is 2%, and this amount need to be remitted to be sent to Inland Revenue, to the Director General within 30 days. But this 30 days indeed now makes the changes has made it like the following month end. So if you imagine today is the 12th of July, so the amount you deducted today need to be remitted by the end of August, by 31st of August. This amount today you have deducted on the 12th of July need to be sent to the Inland Revenue by the 31st of August next month. So this is how this timing has changed. It's not just 30 days, but the implementation of it is next month. And other than that, we are highlighting that the one other thing is that the person who has made more than 100,000 Malaysian ringgit in the preceding basis year would be deducted the 2% this year. So this part, that means if you are not doing as much, then this year the company do not deduct from you, but then you also consider it as to be paid next year when you declare your e-filing for your income tax. But then if there is a need, and then the company that did not fulfill this, that means you have not sent the payment, the penalty will be 10%. So let's say the total amount that you should be remitted to the IRB was for this person was 100,000, then you become 10,000 more, so 110,000 debt outstanding amount owing to the Director General. And the tax payable for any other year of assessment, that means if there is extra paid, and then your amount that shortfall from other earlier years, you'll be used to pay up using this extra payment to pay up any year of the assessment. And then the payer may recover if, let's say, on the error, the payer, that means the agency firm has not deducted this 2%, and yet the person is actually more than 100,000, and then the payer is penalized, and at the same time the payer has the right to go to the agent and ask to recover that amount from the agent. Other than that, the definition of the agent, dealer and distributor means that here any individual resident who is authorized by a company to act as its agent, dealer or distributor, and who receives payment whether in monetary form or otherwise from the company arising from the sales transaction or schemes carried out by him as its agent, dealer or distributor. So of course we are in real estate, so we say negotiator. But if you are an insurance agent, you also have the same scenario where your insurance company makes payment of your commission, and the same will be deducted 2%, so that comply with 107D. On the other example is if you are a employed property contractor. Let's say you are a contractor cleaner so you help certain property manager to do washing, cleaning of the property or premises. Then this is of course not employed under the property management company. You are a contractor just to do cleaning. This means to say, when you invoice the property manager company, the property manager would retain 2% to be paid as a withholding tax for you, and in the future when you do your e-filing, you actually already paid the 2% earlier into the inland revenue. Right, the summary is when we talk about Section 107D, it was supposed to start 1st of January 2022, but the whole implementation actually started on the 1st of April 2022. And the current state is that the 30 days is interpreted as to remit within the end of the following month. So if you do make payment, like I said just now, on the 12th, today is July 12th, the payment, the money need to arrive by the 31st of August 2022. So those are involved, those agents who are 100,000 and above for the previous basis year. They make commission of more than 100,000 in the previous year. If it is not paid, that means any amount outstanding the agency has not paid to IRB, Inland Revenue Board, the amount will be given a 10% penalty, and this is tax owing to the IRB. So as I said, a negotiator, probationary estate agent, or any person who are acting as a contract for service under the company to be paid a commission or professional fee share out would be affected. So the purpose of all this is that the country is facing with debts. They mean facing with a lot of outstanding amount to be paid. So the collection revenue from the taxation, the government need to increase its efficiency to enable it to collect enough money to make payment for the amount of overspending. And this is also, as we all said, resulted from the earlier management of the funds under a lot of scandal. So these are things that is politically sensitive. I wouldn't want to go in. You can imagine yourself. So at the end, imagine collecting withholding tax from a company that has 1,000 contractors. Is it easier than making collection from those loose 1,000 individuals to collect back the money? It is better off to collect from the company that pays out 1,000 contractors than going after the 1,000 contractors individually. So this is the efficiency of the tax collection, similar to efficiency of collecting withholding tax from the company in other settings, as well as making potongan cukai bulanan from the source, from the company itself, rather than going after individual salaried men. So this is the same purpose. Anyway, just recap. There are some FAQs, frequently asked question on website by KPMG. I extract here. The withholding tax is not applicable on payment in the form of credit notes or discount given to all these agents, dealers, and distributors. So this frequently asked question actually touch on also the part on who is actually an individual. So let's say you imagine that you have actually two partners, individual partners inside a agency. So this is a partnership agency. One person fully qualified registered estate agent. He went out and do a deal and then come back, and actually you are paying him a commission share out. And this commission share out is to a partner, an individual partner. In the case in the agency firm, this particular person would be under the interpretation of 2% withholding tax. However, if let's say you have a business that is work under contractor, let's say a contractor who is a company, it's not an individual. This company is a Sdn Bhd company or a partnership company or a LLP partnership company. It's not to a particular person, and the job is given to this company. And this company works on a job done, giving you an invoice, and later on you make a payment. So this is a payment that is not under the scope of withholding tax in this interpretation. So this means individual who is an individual person who receive money would be in the scope of withholding tax. But if it is a organization or a legal person who is a partnership or a limited partnership or ABC consultants, and ABC consultant consisting of 3 partners. The 3 partners work in this ABC consulting firm, and this ABC consulting firm invoiced the work done on repair, and this work done on the repair in fact is paid to this ABC partnership company. Then this is a company, not an individual person, so therefore not falls under the interpretation of section 107D. On this part of the section 107D, which definition involving individual, I would like to touch on co-agency. So co-agency, as we all know, is actually agency to agency. The listing agent get the commission from the appointed party, and then share out this commission with the co-agent. So this co-agent will receive payment from the listing agent. Normally, we should look at this as an aspect of payment for a professional job done. Then the co-agent who got the payment from the listing agent will be subjected to the same similar withholding tax. However, in the withholding tax definition, individual is actually a sole proprietor or an individual person. So as you can see, if the definition of individual is a sole proprietor or an individual, then If it is a E3 company that is receiving the money, that means your core agent is a E3 company or E3 agency, then yes, it's quite clear cut that the core agent would have to be under this withholding tax 2%. But if the core agency indeed is a E1 and a E2, E1 is a Sdn Bhd, E2 is a partnership, then it is not an individual, or it's a maybe 2 but the LLP, the limited liability partnership, then it would not be under the umbrella of the section 107D. So this is my own interpretation. In exact implementation, I am yet to verify with the tax authority, just to include this to discuss the matter of core agency in the context of withholding tax section 107D. So the withholding tax is basically talking about individual human person who actually carry out a contract for service for a fee, and then this amount of charges that invoice to the agency withhold 2% before paying job done. So in determining applicability of section 107D, the residency status of the agents, dealers and distributors in the immediate precedent year is irrelevant as well, which is to mean that the person, whether he is a tax resident for 2021 was not relevant. So you have a person who just returned from overseas, maybe towards the December of last year. Of course, his resident status is actually not a tax resident for 2021, but then this year you can see that he has met 100,000 and above, then this person is still under the same scope of treatment. The other smaller prints in the withholding tax is still payable on the ADDs, even though they are subject to tax installment payment under the CP 500. So some of these tax installment CP 500 is like in a lot of time businesses where you adjust your payment receipt or your income receipt and make subsequent every 2 monthly payment to the IRB. So if you are already doing this and your company knows that you are doing this, yet it is subjected to the withholding tax. The 2% withholding tax shall be treated as an advance tax, and therefore deduct arriving at the balance of tax to be paid upon the income tax submission following year. Right, I mentioned about the introduction in the case of that shall be remitted to the IRB within 30 days after paying or crediting the agents. However, the deferment has been granted. This one I mentioned many times. That means it was January 1st, now only started in 1st of April 2022. So 1st of April 2022 supposed to start doing the remitting from whatever accumulated in January until March. So whatever amount paid from January until March, the company to start remit the payment to IRB on the 1st of April 2022. On or after March 2022 within 30 days. So those who are in the March, that means need to be paid the following month by end of April. So then those paid up in April, the commission paid in April need to be remitted 2% to IRB on month of May. So the May one must remit to IRB in month of June. So subsequently, every month to be remitted the following end before the following end month. The withholding tax also has got the form. So CP 58 is the one that we mostly use. 58, where a company is making payment for many agents. The company may complete the detail of payment for each agent in appendix. This appendix lampiran CP 107D actually now is a CP 107D2 together with the remittance form, which is CP 107D. So these two items I will show in the later part of my presentation. Each appendix should cater up to 20 agents. So of course, if you have more than 20 agents, you have to submit many sheets. You have to submit as many as you are allowed to. But then the CP107D, the form you fill up, then the Excel, which is an Excel form for CP107D2 will be attached. The amended CP58 will include the section. So in your CP58 to be given to your agent, then the CP58 would have the column for how much you have already deducted in the whole year. So by next year, when you issue CP58 to your agent, you would indicate in the CP58 that the withhold tax, the tax withheld, the total amount. The withholding remittance form and appendices update have been released by the IRB side. Okay, then we see this form. So CP107D, you can see it is rujukan number, nombor cukai, nama, penuh syarikat. So these are company information. Then you have to say potongan cukai 2% di bawah section total, how much you have made payment in the current submission, and bilangan penerima, so some of the agent's number, some of agent number, bayaran pusat bayar, and all those things. So this is the form. So every month you have to pay up for the previous month total. And this form you can obtain from Hasil website. On this Hasil website, CP107D and the appendix CP107 korongan under bracket 2. So now the form is 2. So I show you the form, form 2. So this is the form 2 20 negotiator name. And then the cukai pendapatan, how much you declare. So you attach this together with the CP107D form to be completed. So anyway, we come into the conclusion. The withholding tax, as in section 107D of the Income Tax Act 1967, so we mentioned, withholding tax in general, as it is usually used in the case when a foreign non-resident of Malaysia or non-tax resident Malaysia make work or make his living generated income from the Malaysian region, geographical area within Malaysia, then he is subject to the tax. But then in order not to make him just exceed, you pay him the full amount of work done and not being able to tax him, the country tax authority implemented the withholding tax system to make sure the payer, so the whoever company or vendor that engage this non-tax resident to withhold a certain amount of the payment. And this can be ranging from 15% to even 25%. So for the case of agent who are in today's top agency firm, need to withhold only 2% to make sure that the tax collected to be remitted first to the government. So this is under section 107D, which is a new inserted section to the Income Tax Act 1967 as amended in 2021 Finance Bill. Right? So the key impact is that for agent who is supposed to receive full incentive or full commission or full professional fee in the year 2022, the 2% of that fee would be withheld by the agency firm to be remitted on a following month basis to the IRB. Of course, the agency can do it immediately, but then the thing is that the time frame that is allowed now is not just 30 days, but the following month end. It's 2% withheld for those who exceeded 100,000 of taxable income or commission paid. The key impact on agent is that the full commission or professional fee due would be withheld 2% from the agency principal side, and this amount to be remitted to the Inland Revenue within the following month. The amount remitted would be considered as advance tax paid, and therefore the following year, by the time of e-filing, the agent would look at the total amount already paid and top up lah, if there is not enough during the e-filing. So the key figures we talk about is the 2% withholding tax, the 100,000 threshold lah. So if you have make a commission payout from last year of 100,000 and above, then the coming year 2022 or current year 2022, all commission payment will be subject to this 2% withholding tax. And if the payer, who is the agency paying company, did not do so, then the penalty is 10% of the amount not paid. So if the agency did not comply, then whatever amount owing, there will be 10% levied, and the penalty levied by the Inland Revenue will be a debt or outstanding amount owing to the government. So the REA, the registered estate agent or the agency firm, is to remit end of next month, being that due to the Director General of Inland Revenue. So we also went through the forms and the lampiran. The form, together with the submitting part, lists out all the 20 negotiator inside the lampiran Excel form. If it's more than 20, then you use extra forms to be attached together with the Borang CP107D. Thank you very much for listening in. I'm Thomas MP A2066. This is my mobile number. I have few websites, findway.info, a geo linking advertising website, contract2you.com, a comparative index ranking website, estateagentexam.com is a online self-study diploma in estate agency examination website for those who are preparing to become a registered estate agent. My Real Property Online is a collection of my videos and also some of my listings. Abacus Real Estate.fund, a sample retail real estate website for those who want to manage online listing. Thank you for visiting my website.